Hello, folks. I hope you're having a great day today. Today we're taking a look at the penultimate short story in this collection, Illmet and Lankhmar, published by Borealis Fantasy Legends, and it's written by Fritz Leiber. This short series began in 1939 with two-sided adventure that I reviewed for you folks. It's been published in this collection called The Jewels in the Forest. This is called The Price of Pain-Ease. It's about 15 pages long. I knocked it out last night in about half an hour. It was fun. Definitely enjoyed it for the second time knocking it out for this collection. Now, I have reviewed 5 short stories in this series before a few years ago, in the first couple of years of this channel, when I was regular, unless I had just read it new for this channel, or an older thing that I read for this channel, I had gone back and just reread, and so I had not read these things in 15, 20 years, but I went back and did reviews of 5 of these short stories for you folks. But I haven't gone back and done that since I haven't read them fresh. Ever since 2020, when I started doing reviews of things that were older, I just go back and read them first so I can come back to my review fresh and see what I thought about it now. So I hadn't done reviews in this series in years since then. But now we're doing a deep dive into this series for you folks. I've also done 2 other reviews for him. He wrote in all 3 of the genres that this channel covers: horror, science fiction, and fantasy. So he's a big name there. I did a science fiction short story for you that's in the Hall of Fame according to the Science Fiction Writers of America. And I did a horror short story in the Cthulhu mythos in my October that I dedicate to the Cthulhu mythos. He was a protege of H.P. Lovecraft, so that last one makes a lot of sense. And they wrote back and forth pretty much, and Lovecraft would edit his things, and he would send him ideas and so forth before he got published. Unfortunately, H.P. Lovecraft died in 1937, a couple of years before Fritz Leiber got his first publications in. Fritz Leiber is one of the most award-winning writers of all time, with tons of Hugos. In fact, this series actually has Hugos in it, as well as Stokers for horror. So he is a prolific author who published from 1939, his first publication when he was young, all the way till the early 90s. He died in 1992. So I remember that the name of this channel is The Worst Thing About New Books, a quote by a French philosopher named Jacques Joubert, who said that the worst thing about new books was that they kept us from reading the old ones. And this is all of his older stuff is decades old. So that's the passion of this channel, to unlock some of these older works that we either have heard about, but we've never actually gone out there and read, right? Or we've never heard about them either. I know people that are reading today that have read Fritz Leiber's, that are reading modern fantasies that he can publish, but have never touched Fritz Leiber or heard of him. But he should, because he has so influential, particularly this series, on modern fantasy. For example, if your modern fantasy has a thieves guild with thieves that are doing thieves things that are typical for our time, it's all coming from this series. Similarly, if you're having a giant city that's CD and so forth, well, that's also coming from the city Lankhmar too. It dominates the play. And so before that, didn't have these huge giant metropolises that were settings for your people, right? So the 2 thieves that are characters in this thing are definitely key influences. Also, in 1979, there was in a Dungeon Master's Guide for a role-playing game called Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, that co-creator Gary Gygax has an appendix called Appendix N, where he lists the influences of Dungeons & Dragons, and this is a key influence listed. So you can also see its power and influence on modern fantasy. So even though you never may have heard of Fritz Leiber, he's definitely somebody who's definitely has influenced us. So this is somebody you should definitely check out. So anyway, there you go. And also sort of on how it lines up with this short story. Now this is a 15-page short story, again, the pain of the price of pain-ease. So this short story, again, I keep my reviews spoiler free, so I won't spend too much of your time with it. But in this short story, it's going to set the setting of what's been happening. It's going to get you caught up on what's been happening with Fafhrd and the Gray Mouser throughout this collection, actually, including the novella Illmet in Lankhmar. It's going to get you caught up with it in the first couple of pages. It tells you about the tragic deaths of their loved ones and how they have not ever had loved ones happen since. And then because of their loss in Lankhmar, it talks about their meeting, what happened afterwards, and how it was Illmet in Lankhmar. And then go over the tragedy of their loss and how it's affected them even through to this day, years later, right? And then they're going to start getting visited by ghosts of their loved ones. They're not going to tell each other about it, but they're going to each be visited by ghosts. And they're going to go and consult with all the witches and soothsayers and so forth. And that's about 4 or 5 pages into the 50-page short story. So I'll leave you there with what winds up happening afterwards. So there you are. I'll go ahead and leave you to it. The Price of Paintings. This has actually got some good character development in it with the ending, which I like for you folks. So I like it. It's fast. It definitely read quickly and so forth. I'm probably giving this more like a 7.5 out of 10. I've given some 8s, I've given some 6s to some previous things in here, but it's fine. It was definitely enjoyable, but I wouldn't say, it had like these great stakes or anything like that. And, for Leiber, first, is one of the most, awarded people. Clearly, he's a good wordsmith, right? He writes well and so forth. So I'll link you this collection in the comments below. Also, as a reminder, this collection has the stories in them chronologically in timeline order, not in publication order. So you might have a 6 and then you might have like an 8 or a 9 right next to each other. It just happens. But I'll link you to this in the comments below in case you're interested in checking it out further. So there you are. I'll go ahead and leave it to it. Have you read this short story by Fritz Leiber? If so, what did you think about it? Let's talk about it in the comments below. If you want to talk about the ending, we'll talk about spoilers, let's do it. If you agree or disagree with my rating, let's do that too. If you enjoyed this video and review, why not hit that subscribe button? There's going to be a lot more of these to follow. And then finally, I just want to thank you so much for taking some time out of your day and investing it and watching my video. We are all pulled in so many different directions. So the fact that you spent this time with me is incredibly humbling, and I appreciate it. So thanks again, and have an amazing day.